Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. This is Inside with Outsiders. My name is Jeremy Asgari, and today's guest is Ariana Sefre. Welcome.
Hi, I'm excited to be here.
I'm glad you're finally here. You know, you're one of the first few people when we came up with this concept, me and Bams. I had you in mind to be on the show.
Well, amazing.
Yeah.
We're here.
Well, we're gonna get to know you on the show. But you're kind of like an inspiration for me for what you do. I've known you with two companies, right? So Sweat and Sound, we'll get into that, but Sweat and Sound and what you're working on now. And what you've achieved is inspirational. Like, it's crazy what you've achieved, in my opinion, because like I don't see myself ever being able to do what you've done, and it's incredible.
Well, I would say the exact same about you, and I've said this since the beginning. You inspire me as well, so
it's mutual beneficial relationship. Mutual. There you go.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna stop tooting our horns. And where are you from?
So I'm from London, born and raised. Actually, I grew up just outside of London in Essex, which is it's like a county. And I went to school in Essex, but the house I grew up in is on the edge of London. So,
How far, I guess, destination time-wise, is Essex from like downtown or the heart of London?
So where I grew up is about 30 minutes into central London. But then it's also like in countryside. So my parents' house is right next to a forest. So I kind of grew up kind of going into the forest and stuff. Like, we didn't grow up in a very big house, but we had like greenery and stuff around.
Are they still there?
They are.
Same place?
Still there, same place.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think it's always nice to have, well, my mom grew up in an urban environment. I grew up in an urban environment where my mom currently still lives. But it was still nice. It's still outside the city. But my dad used to live in Connecticut, which was like probably like an hour and change from Manhattan. But you get to this house and it's like the woods. It's always nice to have that escape, you know, especially when you're in your daily grind.
Yeah, being out in nature is just so important for like us as humans. I mean, have you heard about the frequency of the earth?
Are you talking about the same thing, the same reason why people take their shoes off and
yes, and do earthing.
And
so there's actually bed sheets. So I think it's like 3.46 something, which, you know, in a plug socket, and you have 3 wires and one's an earth energy line, and that's that kind of the frequency is 3.46 or whatever that frequency is. So that is apparently the frequency of the earth. And so that's why, you know, walking barefoot in grass is so nice. And that's why kind of sitting on the beach, and because when you put two frequencies together, the dominant one will take over the less dominant one. And as a human, we're less dominant against nature. So when we're in nature, it will, if we're there for long enough, apparently our body frequency will start mimicking the frequency.
Really? I didn't know that. But it makes sense because you look at what they do, like forest bathing, and that's something that Japanese culture really values. And I think they maybe it's Toyota, I don't want to say force, but they have each employee take a day to forest bathe a month.
I mean, this is a thing. Like, you can get earthing sheets for your bed, and they're quite expensive, but they have like small wires stitched into the bed sheet, and you put it on your bed, you turn it on, and it will kind of operate at that frequency throughout the night. So then throughout the night, it's putting that frequency into your body, and you can literally look it up, like earthing sheets. They exist, and people swear by them for like anxiety relief and stuff.
Really?
So yeah, like this, I'm really interested in, genuinely really interested in what this can do for people. And I don't think enough people know about it, you know?
I've never heard of it, ever. And I've looked at things for, you know, stress, anxiety, and so on. I've heard of like the weighted blankets.
Oh yeah.
Never heard of vibrating blankets.
Basically, that's what it is. Like, you won't feel it vibrating, but it's like essentially, like,
How do you get rid of your anxiety? Vibrator.
Speak for yourself, okay?
Anyway, so you're from London, born and raised. Tell us about what it's like growing up for you, where you grew up. Did you always go to school in Essex? When did you leave there? Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, so I went to school in the middle of Essex. So it was an international school where So actually, to get into this school, you have to prove that you value other cultures. So unless you're kind of in the kind of close catchment area, everybody, all the parents who get their kids into school, they're either, you know, half this, half that, or they emigrated from another country, or they have to prove that they value other cultures with their kids. So they have to say, you know, I've taught my kid French, or I've taught my kid Italian. And so, so that just meant that my school was very, very mixed.
So you didn't have to prove that because you are...
Well, we didn't need to really prove anything because it's just like I'm half Persian. So, and we kind of had that. But, I mean, I think they still needed to say, you know, we speak... my dad speaks Farsi at home. You know, I learnt Persian cooking. Like, they still needed to fill out a form.
Yeah. So you went to international school. So did I.
Okay.
I went to United Nations International School.
Oh, really? Did you do the International Baccalaureate?
No, because I didn't graduate. So I went there until I was in the 5th grade, and I went to school in another school. So I didn't finish high school there. I didn't go to high school there.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the school I went to, I don't know what the equivalent is in the US. Like, we did A-levels. So when you get to like 16 to 18.
Is that the International Baccalaureate?
Yeah. So instead of A-levels, which is what you do age 16 to 18, I did the International Baccalaureate, which is, So
a friend of mine, actually, Darshan, who's part of Outsiders, he's our director of partnerships, grew up in LA, and his parents thought it'd be a good idea for him to do that, which is different compared to what other high schoolers do. And so they went out of their way to make sure he did that. And unfortunately, the schools didn't really understand how special that was. So it went to waste in a sense. I mean,
that's a real shame.
Yeah.
So in England, like, most people do A-levels, but the International Baccalaureate is perfectly recognised, and actually it's harder than A-levels because you have to do 6 subjects. So obviously I'm just saying it's harder to make myself look good.
I mean, I've heard it's harder. When I hear baccalaureate, I think about the French studies and what it takes to get your degree there. And I mean, my cousins who are in France, like, finishing high school, go through hell trying to make sure they pass that, because that determines whether or not they get into university or if they can go to university. It's different from here.
Yeah. No, it's pretty much the same at home.
So when you were doing this, did you know what you wanted to do? Did you know you wanted to go to university? Did you know what you wanted to study?
I had absolutely no idea.
Let me crack this. I'm thirsty.
Oh yeah, I'm going to crack mine as well.
I'm mimicking Bam's nice style.
Is that the sound we wanted?
Yeah, you want the nice crack. Bam's. Would you like that one?
I'll make it a little bit louder in post.
Yeah, you were impressed by that one? Okay. I'll try to impress you when I crack a can.
Well, listen, I go with the beer, to me, if the can crack is really good, I know the beer is probably going to be good. Okay. If it sounds like it's a dull crack, the beer is probably not going to be good.
By the way, I don't want to get a sidetracked, but Bems and I are, there's this Persian beer based out of New York, so Back Home Beer. I sent it to you, I think, on Instagram.
I think you sent it to me on Instagram.
And
and it's run by a woman who seems incredible.
Persian woman is awesome. And it's got different flavors. It's got like the saffron one they have, which is like this sour beer, but it's like a pinkish. I actually
noticed the a cherry one was on the menu at a restaurant. Where was I? I can't remember where I was. A restaurant like downtown.
Really? What kind of restaurant?
It was called Shaka or something. It was like a Middle Eastern restaurant, really, really good. And I noticed that one of the beers on the menu was Back Home Beer, and I thought, oh my gosh.
We're trying to get her on the show.
That lady is hustling. She really is hustling.
Of course, she's
Persian.
Persian girls like to hustle, okay?
We have to work on your Persian.
We actually do.
Why do you speak like this? Tell me why.
You know what? If I wasn't so tired, all right,
it
would be a fantastic accent.
Blame that. So what did you want to be growing up? Because you're an entrepreneur, and I don't know. I want to know more about how you became an entrepreneur, because you had a job before that, right? You were working. Okay. So what did you want to be growing up?
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think looking back, I'm not sure I knew. I think I had signs way back when that I was meant to run my own thing, but I don't think I had the tools at the time to realise that was a skill and not just a hindrance that's going to stop me from fitting in with society.
Right.
And do you know what I mean?
Because I think we're told that it's not a skill. We're taught. We're taught
that you're like out of
fit in.
Yeah, exactly.
And what were those signs? For me, those signs were I hated following the group. I hated authority. I hated, not in a negative way. I wasn't a troublemaker in that sense, but more like I just didn't feel comfortable. I didn't want to be a sheep.
Yeah.
And not to say that people work 9 to 5s are that, because I have plenty of friends who do that, and I don't see them that way, but I felt that way working for someone else.
Yeah, because I guess I felt the same. Like, I was really bad with authority. I kind of felt like I didn't fit in. Like, there was nothing. I kind of, it's really hard to describe. Like, I'd keep having ideas, and I just want to run with it. And like, I was very good at like running with an idea and putting stuff together and figuring it out and finding little opportunities in things and then kind of like running with it. Like, people would always say, oh my gosh, you're so lucky. I'm like, no, I'm not lucky. Well, I just like pull stuff together and opportunities come out of, you can create. If you create enough opportunities, good things just like come out of it. And I just think that's what entrepreneurship is at the end of the day. I
agree. I think when they say lucky, I don't think you should interpret it in the way you are interpreting it. I think you're lucky in the sense that you're following through. A lot of people wouldn't follow through. So some of these ideas are ideas that you come up with that maybe someone else has thought of, right? But then, that'd be cool. And then it dies because they don't continue. The fact that it's different between us, people like you and I, is that we have these great visions of possibilities. We see a need and want to figure out how to supply it, right? Most people don't go that far.
Yeah, and that is true. And there is, I will be honest, I think there's a dark side to it as well. So I saw some research a while ago that said 40% of all entrepreneurs suffer with some kind of psychosis at some point throughout their life. And I was thinking, only 40%?
There's probably no sleep.
It's no, well, that's also
that's one of the major things, no sleep.
For me, I think the drive a successful entrepreneur has is what fuels them, but also it can be detrimental because they may never feel that satisfaction of having achieved, There's that. What fuels me sometimes, I don't like this, is fear, is anxiety. I have to do this because I'm feeling anxious that it's not done. We spoke a little about that last couple of days. Yeah.
And like anxiety, it's so interesting because so many entrepreneurs have anxiety, but that makes sense because anxiety is a fear about what's going to happen in the future. And everything about entrepreneurship is planning for what's going to happen in the future and not for what's going to happen now. So it's the perfect combination. If you're going to have anxiety, you're much more likely to be an entrepreneur because, you spend your life worrying about the future anyway. So here's a job where you can just worry about the future, isn't it?
Yes, and it sucks because I'd rather be, it does, because I'd rather be fueled by passion. And granted, I think a little worry of the future is good. Otherwise, you're going to sit back and not plan for it, right?
Exactly.
But if I'm motivated by passion, I want to plan because I'm passionate about what it could be in the future, as opposed to the fear of what's going to happen if I don't do it in the future. But knowing, when it comes down to it, we should realize that our personality types are never going to let us not do it. So I've been trying to tell myself not stress out as much because you're never going to let yourself fail.
Yeah, and I think that's why so many, and I mean this genuinely, I think a lot of entrepreneurs end up creating some kind of faith system. And so it might be, sometimes it's a religion, sometimes it's just some other kind of faith system, because ultimately that's usually the key to solving anxiety, because we don't have control over hardly anything.
Right.
And so any way of surrendering that need to control and just having faith that it will be okay, whatever outlet that is, it doesn't matter if it's a religion, it doesn't matter if it's like, I don't know, I was about to say astro cards. They're not a thing, are they?
Astro
cards.
Lie to them and say it's a British thing and they'll believe you.
No, it's this really fancy British thing we have in London. I was thinking about astrology and tarot cards at the same time.
Astro cards, yes. Those.
Basically, like whatever it is that you're going to have faith in, like I think a faith system is really important for overcoming anxiety.
I think for me, it's something I've done for the last 2 months maybe, and it's more of a mantra than, I guess, a faith system. But just telling myself every night that tomorrow, or trying to wake up and say, hey, it's a new day. Every opportunity I had yesterday, it's not the last of the opportunities I'll see moving forward. So what is tomorrow going to bring me? Somebody else sent me this thing on Instagram. It was a little cheesy, but I liked it. It's show me how good it can be, or show me how good it can get. And I was like, okay, I like that, because it shows like things will get better. They can come to you. You don't always have to facilitate them. And that's for me. I feel like I have to do everything myself. If it's not being done then by me, then it won't happen.
Yeah.
I'm sure you have that as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think I really had that with my first business. Really, 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 like it burnt me out so much. It was amazing. But
which business was that?
That was Sweat and Sound.
You want to tell us a little bit what it was?
Yeah, so it was an immersive live music wellness events company. So we did live music events in secret locations. So like amazing historic churches, museums, warehouses, all these types of spaces. And we'd merge live music with wellness. So imagine like a yoga and meditation with a live orchestra. That was our most popular events. And then we did loads of other stuff in, from yoga, meditation, boxing, you name it. And it was all about pairing the live music with the fitness instructor.
Right.
So yeah, it was cool. Like it was amazing. The events genuinely were amazing. But yeah, I felt like a lot. It was very like I pretty much did nearly everything. Like if I wasn't pulling all the pieces together, or like I always think like if I was to, God forbid, be in hospital for like 2 months, nothing would happen. Like it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Whereas with the company I've got now, one of my big objectives was making sure that I'd like brought people in to, so the company will still operate even if I kind of get hit by a bus.
It's also a different industry. You're not going to get hit by a bus, but it's also a different industry. You're doing
very different
live
industry.
events where now it's a tech company, what you're doing.
Exactly.
By the way, but let's be thankful for your Sweat and Sound, even though it's over, right? You've put it to bed. But that's how we reconnected as well, because we met 7 years ago in New York, because you were studying or working.
Yeah, no, I was working out here. Yeah.
And then I think I saw a couple of years later, I saw you post something about Sweat and Sound. I'm like, wait, who is this again? Let me see. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember. What is she doing now? Because I had started Outsiders already, and then we did a collaborative event. We did the yoga and whiskey tasting.
Oh yeah. Out in Bushwick.
Exactly.
That was great.
And then we collaborated with that, and yes, then we stayed in touch with that, and from there, I remember you were putting together a few things for Sweat and Sound, but you came up with this new concept, this new business.
Yeah, exactly. So it actually kind of, so I guess, so the story and what happened was, I realized that working in the wellness world, so like, and primarily it was yoga, meditation, those were the main things. It was a very very female middle class type of industry. Think like the Lululemon type of world.
I was just going to say Lululemon, yeah.
It's, that's kind of the culture of mindfulness, mental wellness, all of that stuff at the moment. And and then a few things happened. So firstly, actually, one of my younger brother's best friends took his own life when they were 15. And then 2 friends of mine, within the following few months, 2 friends' brothers also took their lives. So I don't directly know the people that sadly passed away, but I saw kind of my brother and his friends, they refused school therapy, refused school counselling. I worked in a world with all of these mental health tools, literally like coming out like low bar, easy to access mental health tools. And it was just so obvious that these are not going to connect at all. And then I just started feeling very angry. And it probably was about it took me about a year to kind of metabolize the fact that I was feeling, there was like this anger kind of growing up inside me, where I was seeing this world that had all of these tools, that it's a multi-trillion-dollar industry, the wellness industry, and all of these tools that genuinely can help people metabolize emotions effectively. And they simply do not cater for the people that need it most.
Mm-hmm. And who are the people that need it most?
So the people that need it most at the moment are young men in society. 80% of all suicides in the UK and US are male. And so my life is now, my life is dedicated to researching this topic. And that's what the master's I'm doing is all about. I've written like 3 dissertations on it.
Where are you doing your master's?
Sorry?
Where are you doing your master's?
At Cambridge.
Okay. See, she's so bashful, she won't say it. I've got to brag for her. Go ahead.
Anyway, so the interesting thing is it's not that young women suffer with less anxiety and depression, but early interventions are less accessible to young men than to young women. So all early interventions out there, so think like your therapies, your mindfulness, your all of this stuff that's kind of like the low bar, easy to access, they all look, sound, feel exactly the same. Mm-hmm. And that resonates with some people and it just doesn't resonate with other people. And I think it's an absolute tragedy that this is the state of the world. I'll give an example. So Headspace and Calm, we all know them.
Yep.
You know, I think they're fantastic in that they've democratized mental health management for millions of people worldwide, but over 80% of their users are female, over 95% are over age 25, and 40% of Calm's subscribers earn $100,000 a year or more. So basically, they know who their market is. Their market want to listen to Harry Styles whisper bedtime stories in their ear. And
who doesn't want to hear Harry Styles whisper bedtime stories? I mean,
I do actually hear you through your bedroom door.
You do?
Yeah, with Harry Styles on. And that was
so
the
charming.
kind of. Hey, look! Don't be embarrassed. Like, he's an icon.
Love him. Shout out to Paulie, by the way. It's my buddy who is.
Yes, you told me. Yeah,
is Harry Styles' music director.
But he genuinely is an icon. I absolutely love him.
Yes.
So basically, that was when the idea for this new form of mindfulness came about. That wasn't yogi. It wasn't clinical. It was in the world of music, youth culture. All of, the mindfulness and meditative sessions are created and delivered by the world's most famous musicians. So that's what we do.
And specifically, what genre, what demographic?
So currently, we work in hip-hop primarily. Mm-hmm. So imagine like we're a pizza base of lo-fi hip-hop with like smatterings of ambient world sounds, kind of really catchy beats, and basically, but lo-fi hip-hop is our sound.
I mean, I think from what you said it's not accessible. It is accessible, but it's not appealing to younger men in the urban environment. You're making it seem like it's not the weak thing to do, right? You're bringing artists that they respect. You're bringing it in a way that resonates with them. So you're targeting the right audience who've been neglected because they haven't been targeted by anyone because no one cared before.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And when I say accessible, I do actually mean like cultural relevance.
Right.
Because if something doesn't resonate with someone's culture, their interests. So there's actually a report that was published in 2020 by the Samaritans in the UK. And it was all about the male suicide epidemic and how it's a silent epidemic and what we can do about it. And they noted that the key things that will be needed to overcome this, or part of the thing we can do to overcome it, is make sure that early interventions are as integrative into their lifestyles as possible. Mm-hmm. So like sports, for example. So I know a guy back in London, he runs a really cool organisation called Football Beyond Borders. So they work with Nike and stuff as well. They're amazing. And it's football coaching for 14 to 19-year-old young men, boys. They do tournaments all over the UK, and all of the coaches are also trained therapists. So so in the locker rooms, they'll open up, meaningful conversations. They'll ask the kind of questions, and they'll, the use of language is so important when you're speaking to people in an aim to help them heal. Yeah. So that's why like our artists are trained by therapists and stuff, because there'll be a way of asking a question, the tone that you use, the framing of your sentences and questions that can promote the right type of reflection and therefore healing. So it's really important how language is constructed when we're trying to help people.
I mean, same with the way we try to target people to head outside to these outdoor activities, right? So we had this conversation walking over here about diversity and how, and I mean, the kind of people we want to have come through diversity is every realm, right? But if you're speaking in a certain way and you have staff that is socially awkward it's not going to be appealing to certain audiences. So I totally agree. I think it's so important with messaging, whether even on social media, the words we use and the tone we use when we're posting a photo or something is extremely important.
It is, and I don't think enough. And so, like music. So music is the medium that I love. Like, I think music can literally change the world. Music and sports, the two most non-discriminatory things in the world, and I fully believe that. But so in terms of the music industry, this is like the interesting thing. So, the world of mental health and mental wellness, look, sounds, feel the same, but also based on clinically proven stuff, impact. Yeah. That's fantastic. Yeah. And that's why people keep making stuff that looks, sounds, feels like that, because all the research looks, sounds, feels like that. So that's what they've proven that works. Music industry is completely different. It is 100% based on commercialization. What sells? Oh, that song sells. What are you talking about? Do more like that. Labels only care about what's going to make the charts and what's going to sell. And it's like, hold on a minute, but these are the most influential people in the world, and basically artists are the vessels between potentially early interventions and the hardest to reach people in the world. So it's like, should we not be thinking a little bit more about how they can be a more meaningful vessel? Labels don't care about that. So it's like there's this massive
big corporate doesn't care about that anyway.
Of course they don't. But there's this huge gap in the middle where artists are already trying to, they're without even realizing it, they're already filling this gap. Think about the amount of artists that are creating meditation tracks for their albums. They're doing mindfulness stuff on their Instagram Live. They already know that they can make a difference, but no one's come in and been like, okay, here is a meaningful platform so we can actually do it properly.
Right.
So basically that's what Spoke's doing. It's kind of coming in and leveraging that space with an aim to ultimately be part of the puzzle that changes the culture of mental health.
And it's an amazing mission. I think this is definitely needed for every person on the planet, but especially the ones that are underserved. Where do you stand right now with the company?
Where do I stand?
As far as where are you? Where are you? It's okay. Where are you? It's still a startup, right?
We're still a startup. So we're only 18 months old.
Really? That's it?
Born and bred in captivity.
Really?
Yeah.
So what stage are you? Are you fundraising?
Yeah, so we raised a pre-seed round about 18 months ago. We've built an amazing app, so you can literally type Spoke into the App Store, only on iPhone at the moment. And so you can download it. And we're now raising again. So that's why I'm here in the US. I've been meeting some really cool funds in San Francisco, in LA, here in New York. And we've got an amazing team in London. We've got a cool studio. If anyone's in London, wants to come down, we're just off Brick Lane, so you can look us up.
I'll come by.
Yeah, you will. Well, you're coming in a couple of weeks. Yeah. So there you go. And that's kind of where we're at, doing the next fundraise, working on lots of growth stuff to, get the word out, bring the right artists on board. So we're kind of discussing some potential partnerships with a couple of big labels. But it's an exciting time at the moment.
Sounds exciting.
Yeah.
Now, what were you doing before you became an entrepreneur? Did you worked for a few different companies, right?
Oh, I worked for a bunch of different companies.
What were you doing?
I kind of I actually set up my first company while in university when I was 19 in Bristol, doing possibly.
Such an overachiever.
Well, no, I just basically wanted to make money, and I was just running underground music events and
so you
potentially
were a promoter?
illegal. No, it was they were
Look at the way she says no. Absolutely not.
No,
it's terrible.
No, that is not what I meant at all. No, they were kind of raves, music gigs, that kind of thing.
And you put them together?
Yeah. So put them together.
That's a promoter. That's a promoter. 100%.
Another Persian promoter. Huh?
Exactly.
The Persian promoters.
The promoters, a lot of Persian promoters.
Okay.
We didn't know that.
It's because we just got a good chat,
Good chat, exactly. There's not Persian promoters in London?
I mean, I'm sure there are. I'm not really in the know anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anymore? Come on. You must be.
I'm not in the know anymore.
So you were doing these raves and these big parties. What motivated you to do that? And
there just wasn't a big hip hop scene in Bristol. So Bristol's the west of England, and they didn't really have, it was like a very different kind of music scene. And yeah, I just wanted to create some events and I did it with a couple of friends, wanted to create some events that we actually personally wanted to go to.
yeah.
So that was that. I spent a couple of years working for Nike. I did some work for Coca-Cola as well.
What did you do for them?
So I basically was on this really incredible group of women who were running Nike Training Club events all over like our kind of district. So mine was the west of England. And yeah, it was kind of like a kind of, I guess, marketing and running events and stuff for them.
And did you do something similar for Coca-Cola?
So yeah, and then I did something similar for Coca-Cola.
So you're in the
as well.
experiential world for a long time.
Yeah, I've been in it for a while. Yeah, like 12 years.
That. Okay.
Yeah, so we did like lots of extreme sports events. That was really cool. And then yeah, and I kind of went into like a few different things. I went into property investment because that's what I studied for my undergrad. Went into marketing, and then I kind of had a few jobs like for a publishing company, for another agency, and then that's when I moved out to
Publishing
New York.
company, music publishing?
No, it was like magazines,
Okay.
Like it was in food and stuff. But then, yeah, and then I did a couple of, I guess it was kind of random. And then I moved out to New York, and then I was working in marketing for City Private Bank.
And then you went, how long were you here for?
I was here for a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you went back to London.
And then I went back to London, and that's when I started Sweat and Sound.
I didn't know it was that. I didn't know you did that long. Like I thought when you did Sweat and Sound was like a few years after you got back, but you started right away.
Started it right away. I got back just after Trump was elected, and then about 2 months later, I started Sweat and Sound.
Okay. So I'm pretty sure that that you're not done creating companies. Obviously, you've got Spoke is a great company, and you want it to be amazing, and you're going to grow that. But I don't think it's I think it's going to be an amazing one. I think you have every tool it takes to make it the best it'll be, and maybe get acquired or whatever, have millions of users. But I think you probably create some more stuff.
Gosh, I just don't know. I really don't know. Like one of my friends who's just had her second child was like, when I had my first child, I thought there is no way I'm doing this again. Hell on earth.
Oh my God, what a mom.
I know. And then she was like, a year later, she was like, yeah, you kind of forget that. You kind of forget about that pain.
Yeah.
And so now I'm like, why would I do this again?
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to make sure this is like really healthy and successful and great.
So what is your goal for this?
No, for this, like I want this to create as much impact as possible. So I don't mind whether we take this to like IPO and it's worldwide. I don't mind if we end up at some point, if we find a meaningful partnership that's going to allow us to create the most impact possible. That's the thing I care about the most. So I think this can be a really important tool to reach, hard to reach.
Who would you see would be a perfect partner, or is it too soon to tell? Like, are there any brands or companies out there that right now they'd be a great partner for us?
Oh gosh, that's a really good question. I should have thought about that. To be honest, the best partners are going to be the major record labels.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, but when I say the best, if we can do a partnership in a way that's not going to like cannibalize us, basically. So I think anything in music, because ultimately we are artist-led, we're spoken word-led. So anything that is going to help us connect better with the best artists in the world, that's always going to be the best kind of partnership.
Who are your dream artists you want to work with?
Nas, Jay-Z, who else? So I've been targeting these guys for investment as well. Snoop Dogg, Chameleonaire. He actually has made some really good investments.
Chameleonaire?
Yeah.
Yes, he's a Silicon Valley veteran right now.
But yeah, so all of kind of those guys, I think, would be great. I want to get in front of every single one of them.
Right.
Like, they've invested in far more random stuff than what we're doing.
But that sounds like you want to work with them because of investment partnerships, but what artists would you want to like?
Oh, so you mean like actually? Oh, yeah, I'd love to work with them as well.
Right, of course.
Yeah. So, so I guess at the moment we'd like to. Yeah, obviously I'm in the investment head.
Yeah.
So in terms of actually, yeah. Oh gosh, I mean, we've got a ton of artists.
Who do you listen to right now that you would be like, I would love to have them?
I was gonna say, you got any local artists over there in the UK?
Yeah. So I'm trying to think of like US artists,
Shout out
but
to
our kind of like, shout out to Lemsy.
Lemsy, yeah.
Lemsy is he's our lead artist.
He's your ambassador, right? He's
He's our like golden boy. He's incredible.
He's a great guy.
Yeah, he's our front man. 70 to 80% of everything you hear on the app is his voice. So he is, I mean, at this point, he's very, very trained in loads of different meaningful, mindful practices. Mm-hmm. He works with all of our therapists, like very kind of handheld, in a very handheld way. So yeah, he's an incredible force. But so yeah, talking about UK artists, I guess one of the top people on our hit list is Dave. I don't know if you know Dave.
Dave. It's like Dave. Like, is that his artist name?
Yeah.
Okay.
He is quite possibly the most famous rapper in the UK.
Really? I'm not laughing because I'm belittling him as a rapper. It's just Dave sounds like a very
because most rappers have like a nickname, like Snoop Dogg and stuff like that. Like so, like
this is like
Dave.
No, it's Dave.
It's Dave. It's Dave. He was. Dave, I mean, he's done his sellout US tour.
Really?
Like, yeah. He's every.
I'm sure I've heard his music and just don't know that it's Dave.
I mean, you like at some point, mark my words. Suddenly, people are going to find out about him here, and everyone's going to.
You know how?
Crazy.
He's going to be on the next Drake album. That's what's going to happen.
It might be something like that, but his latest album, it's like I can't even really explain how beautiful and meaningful it is. It's like got so much heart and soul, and it's incredibly profound. So yeah, everyone needs to go listen to that. So he's probably, I would say, the number one person we want to work with at the moment.
Have you gotten in touch with him yet?
We like a degree of separation.
Gotcha. Like everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
So we've gotten to know a lot about your professional career and your goals, and you're extremely motivated. What about you personally? What are your life goals as unrelated to business?
So I guess like all I really care about doing is stuff that feels meaningful and that means that I can contribute creatively, that's gonna, help solve some kind of problem. Like I'm quite a natural problem solver. I like I like thinking about things and figuring things out theoretically. So I can imagine myself going into maybe even some kind of research. I really enjoy looking at really big problems and trying to figure out, what. So like something that we actually learn in my master's is the idea of, they're called wicked problems, which are global systemic problems that no one agent can fix by themselves. So things like poverty, the climate problems, racism, mental health, all of this stuff it's systemic. And so everything from grassroots activism all the way to government policy, we need change at every level with multiple actors to create a network effect that ultimately can solve the problem. No one entrepreneur is going to come along and be like, I'm going to solve it. Like there's no way. No one policy is going to change it. No one activist is going to change it. Everyone needs to collaborate and work together. So that's the field that I'm studying, and that's something I find really interesting because I think that's the future of business. Business, especially in like MBAs, a lot of business education is the same as it was 50 years ago. We're still working in old school capitalism, and it needs to change. Like we need to be thinking about how we're affecting society, how we're creating business that's going to genuinely solve problems in a sustainable way, and make it less about, all being about the commercial side. So I think there's a future of business that needs to be explored, and I'm quite passionate about that.
So what's the name of the program you're in right now?
So the Masters, it's an MST, which is the Masters of Studies in Social Innovation. So yeah, anyone interested in that can like look that up, because I'm a big fan, and I've been recommending it to loads of my friends to go and
that's
apply.
like problem solving on a larger scale.
Yeah, I mean it's like really big thinking, problem solving,
But
which is
It's also unique because you've got to think differently to solve these problems, because they haven't been solved, right? So no one's ever thought of a solution. I mean, I think this needs to be applied to our political systems in every aspect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's like, there's like, so everyone kind of glamorizes entrepreneurs, and they're like, oh, everyone wants to be an entrepreneur and this and that. And that's cool, like, because if you are a natural entrepreneur, that an important part of our it's innovation. It's what kind of creates new ideas, brings it into the ecosystem. But like entrepreneurs, I think, and these are like people who are within massive organizations who will work really hard with no credit and create 1 degree of change. But because it's such a big organization, the degree will be much wider than what a singular entrepreneur can do in a smaller organization.
And that's an entrepreneur?
That's called an intrapreneur.
I like that.
And then there's extrapreneurs. So extrapreneurs are people who are like agents in between the two. So they're like the people who go and connect the dots and bring different people together from like, that's why, big organizations, they've all got like innovation labs, and they're all trying to kind of house startups within the bigger organization. So we kind of need all of these different agents working together so we can create change. And like an extrapreneur basically goes around and like connects all the dots.
Yeah.
So yeah.
A great neural network.
Yeah, exactly.
Like fantastic fungi.
Fantastic fungi.
Fungi, yes. That's
sorry, fungi. Yeah.
Fungi. No, it's fungi.
Is it fungi?
It is.
Okay. Brilliant.
Brilliant documentary.
All
right. I've got some more specific questions for you. I'm going to ask you. All right. What do you do for fun? Seems like you work all the time.
No, I work a lot, but I do actually have I do have fun.
What do you do? I know how to have fun.
I know how to have fun.
That didn't seem like really convincing. Like,
it didn't, did it? Oh
She's trying to convince herself.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I go out with my friends. I dance. I did ballet for 22 years, so I love dancing. So I'll kind of do a lot of fitness. I do dance. And I'm really spontaneous, so I love to travel as well. So if I've got kind of a spare weekend, and it's so easy traveling from London, so I guess that's the kind of stuff I do for fun.
I mean, I love travel too. I mean, I just can't travel all the time, but I'm working that into my job, my career.
Yeah.
What advice would you give high school you, teenage you?
I would say to start working on an idea now and fail with it, and then work on another one, fail with it, and then work on another one, and fail with it. Because I think I would have, like, every success is the 52nd try, basically, at something.
I love the movie Founder.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of my favorite. It's the story of McDonald's and what's the guy's name? Do you remember?
So it's McDonald's. The only thing about Founder is that I like the story, but the actual founders get screwed over at the end by the big...
True, by Ray Kroc.
Yes.
I agree, but at the same time, I have mixed feelings about Ray Kroc based on the story. So what I like about him is the fact that he's been a serial failed entrepreneur, and he reaches the age of late 40s or 50s and finally finds McDonald's, right? He didn't create it, but he did create it. He didn't create the systems for the restaurant, but he created the empire, right?
Yeah.
I forgot why I brought that up, but I love
that movie. It is a really good film.
It's late. I'm sorry. Anyway, what else do I? Do you know why I brought that up?
So we were talking about advice to what I would give myself. Yeah. And I was saying that I would basically say to just actually start a lot earlier, because I started trialing ideas and stuff. I wish I kind of started in a more formal way a lot earlier, because I think I could have, and I think I would have been really successful with it a lot earlier.
Why don't you think you did?
I think because I didn't know. I didn't have the means. Like at the time, they didn't really teach that stuff at school. I didn't really see anybody that was doing what I'm doing now. I even went to university and it was like, oh, the Entrepreneur Society. And it was kind of like, it didn't really, it was like, it didn't.
But you didn't connect with them.
It didn't really connect. Like it didn't really teach me actually what it is that I'm doing now.
I understand. I mean, as a child, you're ingrained, you're taught school, good job. You're not taught think for yourself and create something for yourself. Like matter of fact, I mean, my first 15 years as an entrepreneur was pretty much nightlife promotions, event promotions, but became more of that with working with brands, coming up with cool experiential campaigns and so on. But I remember when I had graduated school and I was starting that, I just kept on getting hit in the head by my mom saying, like, get a job, get a job, get a job, get a job. And I remember a teammate of mine when I played basketball in college, his father was in hospitality, very successful entrepreneur in hospitality. He was like, don't get a job. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep going. And I'm like, no, I figure I'll get a job and do this on the side, make some money for rent and whatever. And my mindset completely changed when he said that, and I spoke to other friends of mine, and I saw what they look like on Monday morning. And I'm like, absolutely not. I don't want to do that.
Yeah. No, I think, I think the idea, and I guess like, because what I've learned now is like the whole world of like startups and running a business is basically like the Wild West. No one actually knows what they're doing. Everyone's just kind of like shooting from the hip.
Well, especially in tech.
Especially in tech, which is actually a fairly new industry, a new world. It's people are making things up as they go along, and it's like, if you just know that, then you can just jump in and make stuff up as well, Yeah. So I think the younger you know that actually it's just about being in the arena, essentially, and, figuring things out and like fighting for things and making it work rather than standing there like, carefully placing your bets. That's what I think really counts. And that's why I think more young people are doing that now. Though it's like, knowledge is more accessible than it ever has been. You can learn 25 years worth of knowledge in a bunch of YouTube videos.
In your hand.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think more and more young people do know that, which is good to hear, good to see.
What is a dream that you've yet to achieve? I think you kind of answered that with my question about what you see yourself doing in the future. But is there a specific dream you've yet to achieve?
So I'm a really big believer that there's a completely untapped potential to help so many more people improve their emotional health, because emotions get kind of trapped in the body, and that's what leads to burnout. And Brené Brown's got a really interesting podcast where she talks about this, where the emotions have a start, a middle, and an end. And the reason why even we get a lot of physical problems is because an emotion will start and we'll push it down and we'll not let it complete its cycle. And we now, so basically, what I'm trying to say is I think that we can help so many more people through a better use of music and the arts. And I think a lot more research needs to be done around it, because if research is done around it, then more funding will come towards it, and then more people will create solutions that are different and feel and look different.
And it's a shame that all your funding has to come from private side. It can't be coming from the government. Like, government should have incentives.
Don't even get me started. We've applied for government grants, and the times we have, there's always someone who's writing doing the marking, and they're like, this looks like it's a music business disguised as a mental health solution. And I'm like, are you joking me? It's completely missed the point.
I'm not sure if you can do this because it's in Sweden, but they have this whole this program where they take the estates of people who pass away and don't have anyone in their families to pass it on to, and it goes into a culture fund in the Swedish government, and they give fund. They gave I think it was $3 million for 3 years, or $1.3 million for 3 years to a company that was doing yoga for people with autism.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
So they're very, very aggressive as far as what they fund and initiatives they fund, and I think that the contacts I have there could help you. I'm not sure if you qualify, because I don't know if it has to be a Swedish-based business, but we can somehow make it that way. And I think you can get funding through that.
Yeah, I mean, that would be amazing. I'll definitely look into it. But yeah, so all of our funding is private funding.
Yeah.
But I will add that the funds and the people we work with, investors we work with, they care about impact. So we've got in our articles of association, it says that we are equally about creating social impact as we are about creating financial return, and we will never sacrifice one for the other. So nobody can work with us, nobody can invest in us unless they agree that is, and that's baked into our legals. And I think that's the key for startups to do from an off, because if it's not baked into your legals, then at some point down the line, you might end up with shareholders that push you in a corner. But if you've actually got it legally, it's like, we can't. We have to work this way. Then you're going to detract anyone that actually doesn't care, and that's what we want to do. We want to detract investors that actually don't care. So yeah, we're quite lucky with who we've got at the moment.
That's amazing. I didn't know you could bake that into your contracts.
You can just, when you're making the initial articles of association, I don't know what the equivalent is here, you can just ensure you put that in. Yeah,
that's great. But again, it's sad that we can't get government to cover the bill, because they should be. It benefits them. Or something a little bit lighter. What is your most embarrassing moment?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, it seems like you know off the top of your head what your most embarrassing moment is.
No, it's because it was so embarrassing. I still feel a little bit sick.
This better be good. Let's hear it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so the university I did my undergrad at was called UWE in Bristol. Okay.
Yep.
And anyway, so I was on the dance team, and we had been training for the whole year in the hip hop dance, and it was amazing. Like, it was an amazing dance routine. We performed at one of the big competitions. There was like
Can you do it for us?
No.
Yeah, video of it.
There will be a video somewhere. Like there will be a video somewhere. So we trained all year. Like, we were really confident. Anyway, so we were at this competition. There was like maybe, 30, 40 other teams there, and they were announcing the winners, and they were like, third place, they said another university. Second place, they said another university, and we were like, oh my God, we're going to get it? We're going to get it. I know we are. And then first place, they said, and first place goes to UWE. And I got up. I walked through the crowd screaming. I got to the stage, started walking up the stage. I looked back, none of the girls were following me. And the woman on the stage was like, and there was another team cheering. Anyway, it was UEA, which is a different university, University of East Anglia. And I just completely misheard. And honestly, people's face when I walked back, like, poor her.
Ooh. How old were you when this happened?
I don't know, about 19 or 20.
Oh my goodness. It's terrible.
It was really embarrassing.
That is definitely an embarrassing moment. That's close to Javier's embarrassing moment. I always got to bring up his embarrassing moment.
Yeah, he's probably going to be the king of embarrassing moments.
Yeah, he is. So Javier got onto a city bus on his way to high school with those snap-on pants, snap-off pants.
Okay.
He steps on the bus, door closes, gets his pants, steps up, pants rip off. He's in his tighty whities on the bus in front of everybody.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, he wins.
Oh, okay, yeah, fair.
Ken's not that. I mean, he's pretty close too.
Who's that?
What's his name?
Ken Tanaka.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
Ken ran I think it was New York City Marathon with food poisoning, and it took him 8 hours and 27 shits later.
27 is my lucky number.
That's how you respond to that story? 27. All right. cool.
It's a lucky number in Chinese. Over in China, 27 is a lucky number. It's always been my lucky number.
Really?
So,
27?
Yeah, so maybe it was lucky for him, maybe.
Maybe it was. I don't see how taking 27 shits in a marathon is lucky. All right, is there anything I haven't asked you that you want to share? It could be anything, unique fact about you or something else you want to tell the listeners?
No, I think you've asked me everything. Yeah.
Sure, we're not hiding anything that you want to share? No?
Oh gosh, all of my secrets. I'm hiding quite a lot.
I need to know these secrets. I want to know.
No, I can't think of anything else I need to share. Yeah.
Okay. Well, then, that being said, it's time for 5 rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
You want to take a quick sip? Or are you good?
I'm nervous. No, I won't
All
need
right.
a sip.
They're very easy. They're
Okay.
simple questions. So, what's your favorite city other than New York? Other than New York City? Well, you don't live here. Other than London, what's your favorite city? Other than London and New York, what is your favorite city?
Oh, other than London and New York.
Yeah.
Rio.
Brazil.
Yeah.
I like it there. I've been there.
Yeah.
Why is it your favorite city?
I just think the landscape's beautiful. I think the culture is beautiful. The food, the music, the vibe. Yeah.
I agree. For me, the vibe was definitely, it just makes it a lot easier to not be stressed.
It does, yeah.
They're very laid back, and it's fun. It's about enjoying yourself. I mean, I don't know if you live there, it might be different, but when I was there, it was like that.
Yeah.
If you could do any other profession, what would it be?
A full-time adventurer.
You're hired.
Genuinely, I always wanted, I should have said this when you asked me what I wanted to be when I was little. I wanted to just adventure full-time. So I imagine myself hiking up mountains, putting my, tent and stuff up and just kind of being in the wilderness and
like an outsider?
Like an outsider, like my hair's like down to my ankles. I'm like nomadic walking around. I could, happily do that.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're really outdoorsy. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay, good to know. You have to join us on one of our destination trips.
Well, yeah, of course.
Obviously. What's your vice?
Ooh. God, it's a really boring one, but like chocolate.
I was going to say sweets.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Because I ate all those bang cookies.
Did you?
I think I
Too.
got back tonight and I actually just ate the rest of them as well.
You better not have. Okay. What is your greatest fear?
So, I'll tell you this because it's really weird, but I do have a big fear. I mean, it's not very serious. It's not like my greatest fear. It's my weirdest fear. I'm really scared of big leaves. And I always have been. I don't know why.
And do me a favor, when you don't go over in that corner over there, there's a couple of plants with really big leaves.
Really?
You want it to be an adventure. You're big on the outdoors, but you don't like big leaves?
No, I can't adventure in tropical places where the leaves are big.
What is it about leaves that you're afraid of?
I honestly think that maybe in a previous life, I got killed by something behind a big leaf, because when a leaf is, I'm not kind of like, the size of my arm or the size of half of me. I mean like banana tree leaf, like massive leaves. Ew, horrible. Can't stand them.
Like you can't touch them, can't go near them?
I can't touch them, I can't go near them, I don't want it anywhere
How
near
big
me.
a leaf scares you?
Bigger than a human, like massive type of leaf.
Like a banana leaf?
Like a banana leaf, yeah.
So botanical gardens is out of the question then, right?
Yeah, I don't really like it. I don't like
some
it.
guy takes her on a date.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's not for me.
Have you ever had maybe it's Thai food? I'm going to sound super uncultured if it's not, but Thai food that's served on a banana leaf?
No, that's fine because it's kind of like, it's small. It's when it's like up next to me and I can't see what's behind it. Don't ask me why it freaks me out. I don't understand my own brain.
Okay, so that's your weird fear. What is your I guess more rational fear?
Okay, my more rational fear.
Not to downplay scary leaves by any means.
Is not kind of being like in a box and being controlled and not,
lack of freedom,
not being able to and not doing what I'm meant to do because I feel scared or because I'm not able to. Because I think everyone, like, intuitively, once you tap into your intuition, you know what you're meant to be doing.
Yeah.
You have a feeling you're meant to do this, and you're curious about that, and you go and you explore it, and then one thing leads to another, and then all of a sudden you're doing something really meaningful, and it all makes sense.
And that's the path for an entrepreneur, for sure.
Exactly.
And what you described, the way you describe that fear is, I'm sure everyone's had these dreams where they can't run, or they can't do something, and that's what, that's like that real life feeling.
Yeah.
Though.
Yeah. So what you said earlier about, like, you know, an entrepreneur is, you know, it's like a lot of people won't do that stuff, won't do that scary stuff. The fear of not doing that stuff is greater to me than the fear of actually doing it.
Oh, for sure. So me too. When I have crazy anxiety about, like, I'm stressed out, it's because that stuff that we're talking about isn't done yet or hasn't been started. Yeah. That's where I get my fear from.
Yeah.
Interesting. More scary than leaves.
Slightly. but not much.
Last question. What is your favorite food, and what did you bring us today?
So my favorite food is a Persian dish called...
We're both half Persian.
We're both half Persian.
There we go.
It's called fesencun.
It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, one of my favorites as well. And I've always loved it. It's got kind of a pomegranate with... walnuts, kind of, I guess you kind of make it into a paste. Yeah. And you turn it into sort of a stew, I guess, with meat, and you have it with rice.
Well, it's either chicken or duck.
Yeah, exactly.
I've never had it with duck, though. It's always been chicken.
I think I've mainly only had it with chicken. But I might have had it, I probably have had it with duck as well.
Where was the best fesencun you've had in your life?
So actually in Iran. So my aunts taught me and my sister how to make it.
Really?
We spent a few hours together. This is not even that long ago. This was back in 2017, and we spent maybe like a few hours or half a day, and from scratch. And she taught us exactly how to make it. We kind of ground everything down, and it's a real process. You have to cook it in the right way, and I was like making notes. And then we finished it, and it was like, wow, this is absolutely amazing. I do love it.
The best fesencun I had was out of this place in Belgium.
Okay.
But the best Persian food was obviously my grandmother. She made this dish that apparently is a very famous dish, is chicken and plum sauce. I forgot the name of it in Farsi, but
I actually know what you're talking about, and I forgot the name as well.
There's a movie made about this dish, named after this dish. And I'll never forget it, because she actually made it for me. She's at my dad's place, and they brought some in a container for me from her. She brought it over. And I've never had something that tasted so magic. It was so delicious. It was, and I love Persian food because it has these unique blends of, it would be fruits, berries, meats, and it's just Persian cooking. And of course, there's a bias here because we're part Persian. But I have friends of mine that are not Persian who tell me they love Persian food because it's so unique. Yeah,
I've never met anyone that doesn't love Persian food. And I love the kind of mixture between so much saffron and everything.
Yes.
But then this kind of like sweet, it's almost like sweet, sour, like pangs of taste.
And savory, sweet, sour, savory. Let's show them what fesencun looks like. Because honestly, when I order it, when people have never had it, when they first see it, it doesn't look appetizing.
Well, no, it actually doesn't. So
no, it looks like mud.
Yeah, it does look like mud.
And I know
it doesn't taste like mud. It tastes very delicious. Like it. You know what it tastes? It tastes opulent.
Opulent. That's an interesting word.
Do you know?
use.
Do you know what I mean? It's got like it's got kind of. I think it tastes majestic. You know, because it's
like a royal.
And usually people would have it at kind of weddings.
Yeah, it's like a food that you only had during specific occasions.
Yeah, so it is quite like, you know, you'll eat it in, because it's like heavy as well. So you'll have it for like weddings and. You know, it'll be like a real treat. Can you see it on
the camera? It looks like chocolate pudding meets mud.
It looks like chocolate pudding meets mud. Yeah.
And what do you? They show everybody what you eat it with, and
I wish I had like nice plates to put it out on.
Well, we got this to go. I appreciate you getting this. The other thing is this is Persian rice. People think there's cheese on top. It is not cheese. Americans would think that because they put cheese on everything. This is saffron rice. So. Persian rice is obviously very important in Persian culture because we eat a lot of rice. Rice is basmati rice, and then on top of the rice, every time rice is made, they take a portion of the rice and pour saffron saffron on top, right? Liquefied saffron.
Yeah.
So that's what that is. So you take a little bit of the. Look at me explaining what you brought. You tell them.
Yeah, so I mean, there's not really much more to explain, but this is the Fessenjun. Oh, so I do have a spoon and fork here.
All right, you can try it. I'm gonna have some. I've had it a million times because I order this all the time.
I think I have plastic fork.
No, this is all good. This is all good.
Oh, look.
Yeah, perfect. So
There
you
we
take
go.
whichever one you want.
You take the spoon. I'll take
Okay. So how do you do it? Do you put the rice in and then dip it, or you did this and then
I usually put that on the rice.
on top?
Yeah, so I put it on the rice and I just kind of dip it.
I put it on the side because I don't want the rice to soak up all the. And then I scoop it in together.
I mean, it's a valid method
Let's
as
see.
well.
So you take a little bit like that.
Wait, so how do you eat your rice and beans then?
Yeah,
No, I'm talking to you. Yeah, you.
I put it on top.
Okay.
But I do leave it a little on the side. Just to keep it extra moist. This is so good. And what's
good.
funny is some people are thrown off because it is really sweet.
No,
Not
it is sweet.
overbearingly sweet, but for a main dish, for a main course, it is sweeter than what people normally would order.
It is sweet, and it's heavy as well, like because it's got a lot of walnuts ground into it. Interesting fact about walnuts:
Yeah.
there's a town in Iran that it's a small town, and I can't remember the name. I'm gonna have to get back on that. Where loads of walnut trees exist. There's walnut trees everywhere. There's so many walnut trees. They actually they export them. It's one of the main exporters of walnuts. And so because the people in this town grew up with so many walnuts, they grind it into everything, like even the baby's milk. They will like grind the walnuts in because they've got that endless walnuts. Anyway, there is a disproportionate number of people from this town that have got Nobel Prizes. They've gone to Harvard, Yale, Oxford, Cambridge, done incredible things. The only link is the fact that they grew up eating walnuts. And what's crazier is if you look at a walnut, it looks exactly like a brain.
Yeah.
It's almost like the universe or God or whatever you believe in is saying, I've literally made this thing look like a brain. Why aren't you just eating it all
I'm
the
pretty
time?
sure it's like a video, like a documentary on that. Like there's something that's in like all nuts, not just walnuts, that actually helps like.
For sure.
Yeah.
But specifically walnuts. Actually, there's another one of my favorite dishes in Persian cuisine is paneer sabzi.
Oh yeah.
And that has amazing fresh herbs, radish, feta cheese, and walnuts. And I love that. Walnuts aren't the most delicious thing on their own, but mixed into things are good.
Pecans are though.
Pecans
are delicious on their
I
own.
love pecan pie.
I love pecan pie as well.
Amazing.
Yeah, I love
That's
it.
why I love Thanksgiving, just for pecan pie.
Yeah, we don't have Thanksgiving.
We're gonna make Thanksgiving for you, so you can have it.
I think what was Thanksgiving? Thanksgiving was something though anti-English or something. There's a reason why English people don't celebrate.
It was the
Thanksgiving.
Pilgrims who
That left England. Yeah.
That left England, and then they were celebrating having left England, and we were like, "Oh no, come back!"
Exactly, that's what they said. So again, why is this one of your favorite dishes? Is there anything other than the taste that makes this your favorite? Is it the memory with your aunt or grandmother?
Yeah, my aunt. So I guess I don't know. I used to hate it. So when I was little, I hated this dish. I thought it was too much. And then as I've gotten older, I've started really liking it, and now it's my favorite. So when I was little, it was gourmet sabzi.
That's funny because I hated gourmet sabzi when I was a kid.
Oh, really?
I thought it was too, I don't know, it was like too much of a grown-up taste for me. Now I love it.
Oh, really?
And I can't say, I'm not sure which one I love more because it depends on what I'm looking for. If I don't want anything as sweet, I go gourmet sabzi. But I'll do this as well. But growing up as a kid is kubi day. Shelo kebab.
Oh yeah,
all day.
I mean, yeah, definitely. That's standard. Love that as well.
It's a national dish. Anyway, I'm hungry now.
Yeah, you need to.
So we're gonna eat this. I want to say thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. This has been great.
Yes, I want you to come back on the show and tell us more about the progress of Spoke. I love what you're doing, and thank you for being inspirational.
No, thank you as well.
All right. Well.
Cool.
Later, guys. I'm hungry.